All right, welcome everybody. So let's discuss what we're looking at right now. So this is my little map here to help you all maybe get a better grip on exactly how segregation de facto versus de jure. So this is the de jure version. So this is our map. As you can see up here, it's labeled Southville, USA. It's not a real town. It's an example of what a southern town might look like. And as you can see, towns divided more or less along the railroad tracks. A lot of towns were divided like that. So as you can see from the map's key here, we've got everything in red is our segregated African-American neighborhood or segregated Black neighborhoods. Everything in blue is our segregated white neighborhoods. And each of them have a respective high school. You'll notice we got Harriet Tubman High School over there and Robert E. Lee High School over there. Now, here's the deal. So that's 1950. This is pre-Brown v. Board. So under the law, the only places Black folks in this town could buy houses are here and here. White people can only buy houses here and here. Well, if that's the case, guess what? Here's where things get interesting.
Ron Matei, if you get their call.
All right, so sorry about that. Just pause that because this announcement's on. So now let's break down how this actually changes. So now we're going to fast forward. Let's say it's now 1960. Ruling's now been over for a couple of years. So now, guess what? We get to get rid of these segregated distinctions. But still, it's no longer an official policy. But more or less, Black folks are still going to mostly live over here. Now, yeah, we may see this neighborhood, some of these neighborhoods might gain a few more African-American folks living in them. A few wealthier Black families might be able to afford to move over into what was once the whites-only section of town. And a few poorer white folks might end up moving into what was once the African-American section of town, but more or less things are going to stay as they were. Now, let's say we say, all right, we're going to divide the town. So we see people move around a little bit. So we're going to divide it. Even if we decide we're going to split the town in half, right? We're going to draw a line right down the map in between these two schools. Doop, 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 doop. All right, everyone who's closest to Robert E. Lee High School, you're going to go to Robert E. Lee. Everyone who's closest to Harriet Tubman High School, you're going to go to Harriet Tubman. Well, what do we find? Well, notice, we look at that green line. Well, most of the students that are on this side of the line are Black. All right? So this school is going to be majority Black. Yeah, as you can see, there's a few white folks who go there now, but they're not many. Over at Robert E. Lee High School, it's even more stark of a contrast. There are a few African-American folks who maybe fell within a line if the line was drawn fairly, and a few others who were able to move to the predominantly white side of town and thus managed to send their kids here, but most are excluded. So no matter what way you slice it, the school would remain segregated because of where people already lived and where people had already bought houses. So the Supreme Court was now stuck in a situation They'd abolished the laws stating that these locations had to be segregated. But they had done nothing to actually prevent the separation of children based off race in an educational setting. So the Supreme Court had to figure out a solution. We're going to move on to part 2 of this lecture on the 70s. And you're going to see exactly what the court chose to do and how the general populace reacted.